Talk movies! Movie friends!
The sky is the limit.
Yeah, my boy!
Sky high.
Welcome, friends. It's Pete again, and here with another Disney Talk episode. It's the show where I just watch Disney movies that I haven't seen in a long time, or just any Disney movie really, and kind of just talk about it, review it, give you my thoughts on it. So this episode, the movie, it's not animated, and it's a movie I watched a lot when I was younger. And I really enjoyed it when I was younger, and I'll get to my thoughts about what I think about it now, watching it in my adult years. But yeah, it's not an animated movie. So let me just get to the point here. The movie I'm watching, or I'm reviewing for you guys, is Sky High from 2005. I love superheroes and stuff, so this was a movie that I really enjoyed when I was younger. But watching it now in my adult years, I'll say it's not so good. I don't know. It just definitely, I can see why I liked it when I was younger, but now that I'm older, yeah, it's no bueno in my opinion. So basically, Sky High. The gist of it is superheroes exist in our world, and there's like a secret high school that these students go to. It's kind of like Hogwarts. It's like a school for superheroes learning how to hone their powers, and they get categorized into either superhero category or sidekick category. And yeah, it's just a school where they go and learn how to hone their powers and be superheroes. And the story follows Will Stronghold, who his parents are the commander in Jetstream, who are like they're basically like Superman and Wonder Woman, like they're the best superheroes ever, and they're constantly saving the world. And so those are his parents, and he has a big, they set a big bar for their son. He has a big mantle that he has to take up because his parents are the best superheroes ever. And unfortunately, Will Stronghold doesn't have any superpowers at the beginning, and I'll get into that later. And yeah, so he's kind of just trying to figure himself out and kind of live with the pressure of, living up to his parents' names as these great superheroes. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And while he's there, the popular girl in school who he has a huge crush on, turns out she is the commander in Jetstream's arch nemesis from back in the day. She kind of I guess, used something to make herself. They explain in the movie she used something to make herself younger and kind of infiltrate Sky High, and but her whole plan was to kind of take down Commander in Jetstream. And then Will Stronghold has to save the day, and that's basically the whole gist of the entire movie. So getting into that, I will say I like the world that they built with this movie, like the superheroes and this school, and then getting they have categories whether you're a superhero or a sidekick. I liked all that, and I like how they set up that Will, he has no powers. He even goes to the school nurse, who is played by Cloris Leachman, which is hilarious. And he goes to the school nurse, and she says, sometimes people with two superhero parents, sometimes they don't even get powers. And so they did a whole setup of, him potentially living without powers, but having like these crazy, superhero parents, which I liked. And it kind of sets up the theme of Will's going to save the day just being himself. He doesn't have to be a superhero. He's going to be himself, and he's still going to save the day. But then halfway through the movie, he just, all of a sudden, his powers just come, and then he's super strong. and he can fly. And I thought that was kind of lame. I like they were going, liked where they were going with it, where he doesn't have powers and he's trying to figure himself out, and all that. But then it was kind of just a cop out because then halfway through the movie he becomes super jacked and super powerful, and that's basically it. So they kind of threw all that out of the window, which I wasn't a big fan of. I feel like the movie could have been stronger and would have had a stronger message if he never got his powers, but still saved the day, just using his being himself and using his wits. So that was kind of weird. But I see why I liked it so much when I was younger, just because it's kind of it's really cheesy. The CGI in this movie is just awful. I know this came out in 2005, but that's not really an excuse because a lot of movies that have come out in that time looked great. But the CGI in this movie was very bad. Especially there's this one kid who kind of turns himself into like a rock monster, kind of like the Thing. And when he's demonstrating his powers for the first time, turning into this rock monster, man, it did not look so good. The only thing that looked like decent was when Danielle Panabaker's character, which was I think it was Layla, was her name. Her power is like she can control like grass, or sorry, not grass. She can control like plants and trees and make things grow, and it's pretty intense power. She was labeled as a sidekick because she refused to use her powers unless she really had to, so the coach made her a sidekick, but her powers are way beyond that. But when she uses her power, like that was the only time where the CG looked pretty good, but even still it didn't even look that great. But yeah, CGI was not so good. I liked this. Another thing, this had a good cast, but I just feel like they weren't utilized. Like it was kind of just a waste. Like, Linda Carter, played the principal of Sky High. Bruce Campbell, he was like probably the funniest kind of side character. He played the coach, the PE teacher, I guess you would say. His name's Boomer, and his power is he speaks really loud. He speaks really loud. It sends like shockwaves. Yeah, this is Bruce Campbell's character, and he basically is the one who decides what category the students are in, whether they're a hero or sidekick. And basically, the whole process is he just calls up the student and tells me, "Let me see your power." They show him his power, and then he either puts him in sidekick or hero. So that kind of like little world building stuff I like, but yeah, they underused Bruce Campbell, they underused Linda Carter. Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald are in this movie as well, who are from Kids in the Hall. They are hilarious human beings, and they were hardly in the movie. And when they were in the movie, they weren't even that funny. Like it wasn't even, they would say like a line or two, and that was it. And same with Cloris Leachman. She's a very funny person. But yeah, she was only in one scene, and even in that scene, it was just she didn't even do anything. She wasn't funny. She wasn't, it was just kind of a waste, in my opinion. Yeah. So overall, like, I see why I liked this movie when I was younger, because I do really like superhero stuff. And I love Disney, of course. And I remember watching this movie like all the time when I was like, when I was young. But watching it now, not a fan. I mean, for nostalgic purposes, I respect the movie, and it'll always have like a little place in my heart just for nostalgic purposes, because I did like this movie a lot back in the day. But yeah, it's not so great. If you like Disney movies and you like superhero stuff, and you haven't seen this movie, I mean, give it a try. I always tell people all these movies I'm talking about. If you haven't seen them, just watch them and give me your own opinion. But yeah, not a big fan. Even Kurt Russell too, great actor. He's a good actor, and he's a pretty funny guy too. And yeah, even him just wasn't doing it for me. I feel like a lot of it was just kind of phoned in. And yeah, the biggest gripe for me was some of the plot points and them, yeah, giving Will his powers all just suddenly after they set up so much that he may never have his powers and he doesn't know what his powers are, and all of his friends, it seemed like they knew what their powers were from way before they enrolled into Sky High, but he just enrolled and still didn't know what his power was or nothing. And I liked where they're going with that, and then all of a sudden he just all of a sudden has his powers, so they just come through. And it comes through while he's fighting not his enemy, but Will Stronghold's dad put away this dude's this kid that goes to Sky High. One of his parents was like a villain, and his mom was like a hero. And Will Stronghold's dad put his dad in prison, and he resents him for that, of course. And so they have this kind of beef, and then they fight in the cafeteria, and Will kind of kicks his ass because that's when he gets his powers. Yeah, and the villain's plan was to turn all the super people into babies and raise them as super villains and kind of take over the world with this army of super villains, which kind of sounds cool on paper, but it's kind of weird that he uses his ray gun and just turns everything into babies, and then was planning to raise them into villains before Will Stronghold saved the day. But yeah, overall, I probably wouldn't watch this movie again. Maybe like with my nephew or something, I'll watch it, but yeah, not so good. Out of 10, I would probably give it a 5, just because that 5 is literally just from nostalgic purposes and because I like the world and I like superheroes and stuff. But the comedy, the plot of the movie, the use of the cast members, which is not their fault. It's the writing, really. But yeah, all that just kind of didn't go well with me. And this movie is supposed to be like all these Disney movies that aren't animated, that, like, I wouldn't say live action because people are going to think I'm talking about the live action remakes, but these live action, like, original Disney movies, they're getting better, but I still feel like they just haven't cracked the code, really. Like, there's a lot of movies that I just thought, like Tomorrowland and what's that one with they all play, like, Mindy Kaling's in it. They all play like time and different kind of, I forgot what the movie is called, but that wasn't so great either. And even that, the CG didn't look so good. Yeah, I just feel like some of these live action original Disney movies aren't hitting the mark for me yet. I'll check them out always, but there's something about them that they just haven't really cracked the code. But Sky High, yeah, good when I was younger, not so good when you're older. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. But my overall rating for it is a 5 out of 10, and that's literally just because of nostalgia, really, because I enjoyed it a lot when I was younger. But if you've seen Sky High, let me know what you thought of it. I always want to hear what you guys think of these movies I'm talking about. If there's a movie you want to hear me talk about, comment and let me know what it is, and I'll definitely do it if it's a Disney movie. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, comment, like, show us your support. And yeah, we're now on Spotify, and I think we're working on getting on iTunes. But yeah, we're on Spotify now, so we're getting on up there. We're moving on up in the world, and we're getting on all those platforms of convenient podcast listening. So get on Spotify, get on iTunes eventually when we're on there, and give us a listen. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. But thanks a lot for you guys for listening, and until next time, thank you, my friends. Goodbye.
Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified.